Hello and welcome to our virtual desktop in-service video tutorial series. So the purpose of these video tutorials is to provide support for those at schools who are on virtual desktops already and want to refer back to the information that they received prior to going virtual so that they can troubleshoot and just get some refreshers on the different information. It also serves for those who are about to go on virtual and would like the in-servicing for their staff at a time that works for them whenever they want it. So what is covered in these little video tutorials is exactly what you would receive if someone were to come in-house and do the training with you. So quite often the video tutorials are what people need. So this will be divided into 4 different sections. First, I'll be talking about an introduction to the virtual desktop. Then in the second video it will be about files and saving. The fourth one will be about Citrix toolbar and the features that exist. And then the fourth and final video will be on timeouts and disconnections. Each of these are very brief but thorough, so you should have everything you need to get started. So first of all, I should mention that when you go to and use Citrix, you actually have to download the client onto your computer. So for example, if you're wanting to use virtual desktops at home and you want students to be able to use any device with the Citrix client on, they actually have to download that client to their machine. That allows them to access all of the features that were discussed in the first video so that they can get the software that our division has without having it loaded on their machines at home, and they can also access their files. So the way in which students would access the client is they would just do a Google search for Citrix. Then instead of committing to the main website, just go down to where it says downloads. It's the fastest way to get there. And then you're going to see where it says Citrix clients, and that's where they would choose whether it's a Windows machine or a Mac machine or whatever their device was. They would choose the appropriate client, and then that would download that onto their machine. They would only have to do that once, and for Chinook's Edge owned machines this is not needed as this is done for you already, but this is something that they would need in order to get the Citrix and the virtual desktop to work. Once that is loaded onto the personal machines, then you can access virtual desktops, and the fastest way to do that is just to go to the CESD main page, and down at the bottom you will see virtual desktops. So I'm just going to load that and show you how to log on. And here you log in the same way that you do for your CESD Google and Gmail and Google Docs. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. And I will mention also that when you go to change your password, you can do that in virtual desktop, and it will actually change your Gmail also. The only consideration there is that when you change it in virtual desktop, and I'll show you how to do that in a later video, when you change your password, it will happen immediately in your virtual desktop, but it will take the following day for it to update to your Gmail, but they will both be in sync the following day. So once you've logged on the right hand side here, I've talked about these features and the personal website information on the previous video on this page, so I'm not going to go into that. Instead, I'm going to take you right to where you need to go. And so under the desktops here, you go down to where it says Windows 7 desktops, and you're going to choose that once. Quite often we double click because we're so used to going into programs and double clicking, but what happens in this circumstance is that you would click it only once. Otherwise, if you were to click on it twice, it actually tries to load the program on 2 different occasions, and then they can hang and trip each other up. So it's really important to click only once. If you're having a hard time and it is hung up, then you go to where it says Restart Windows 7 Desktops, and it will reset everything for you, and that takes a couple of minutes. Then you go ahead and click on it once again and see how that goes. If you're still having issues, which you shouldn't, but if you still are, feel free to call the number that is right here. And we also have virtual desktop help. So if you go to virtual.chinooks-edge.ab.ca, you will be able to email directly any help, and that goes right to our help desk for the virtual desktops only. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Windows 7 Desktop. And right now it's connecting to my desktop, and while that's loading, I'm just going to explain very quickly how, even though it looks very similar to my regular desktop, it is in fact a virtual layer on top of my machine. So I do have this screencasted like this on purpose so that you can actually see behind is my actual windows on my computer. So that's my actual desktop on my computer. You can see all my tabs across the bottom. This layer on top is my virtual desktop, and if I had expanded this, which I'm not going to, then you won't be able to see it all, then I would only see that virtual desktop. So sometimes when people save items, they save them to the wrong place. So it's really important to know where you are saving your information to, which I will go over in the next segment. So here, just so you're acquainted with the different area, you have this is your desktop on virtual that you will have access to anytime that you log on to it. Under the Start menu, you then would be able to see all of the programs that exist in the virtual domain. So these are all the programs you can access, including notebook software, which is fantastic because that one is such a huge download. And so therefore students can use this via the virtual at home and not have to download it on their machines, which is super handy. So these are all the different programs that exist in the virtual desktop, keeping in mind that not everything that we have on our hard drive of our actual machines can go on here due to maybe licensing issues, and sometimes depending on the software itself, sometimes it just doesn't run in virtual very well. So it just depends. So some of the more outdated software does not function here very well. So the other components in which you would need to know is that this little toolbar at the top gives you some different items, which I'm going to talk about later. This is called the Citrix toolbar. So that concludes the brief introduction as far as how to log on and how you would see the different programs within the virtual desktop. Thank you.